But also, office can sign a cancellation, not us though. Even I cancel, I gotta have a good reason to cancel. Not only the seller is not cooperating, and also I cannot find the seller. It's a true seller. Hey, I'm letting myself out. How do I know? Do you get a power of attorney or get authorized? So I cancel myself. I don't want any trouble later. Okay, cancellation of contract. So we only talk about the cancellation of the purchase agreement. So if you really want to go through the cancellation of listing, that's after when I cover the listing. Okay, so after this, we're starting with the listing package. So the cancellation, same thing. You mark it here. Usually it's a California purchase agreement or whatever the purchase may be. It could be the income property or any property. Okay, paragraph 1 and 2 below constitute escrow instruction to escrow holder release of fund. Pursuing to the paragraph 2 require a mutual sign release instruction from buyer and seller, judicial decision, arbitration award. A party may be subject to civil penalty to up to $1,000 to refuse to sign such instruction if no good faith dispute exists as to who is entitled to the deposit funds. So that's why they're actually repeating the words, like our purchase agreement. If you do not, signing the cancellation as a buyer's wish or seller maybe, the other party didn't sign, they can get on the penalty up to $1,000. And here you can say if the buyer want to cancel or seller want to cancel, what situation seller will cancel? Seller, it's like seller usually cannot cancel, but what condition seller can cancel?
Did not perform.
Yeah, seller did not perform. Perform what? Usually what we think is finding the new property, their new property. Say, for example, when you do the counter offer, they give you the condition. So we gotta have to close contingent concurrently, or they have to find a relocated new home. If they cannot find it, and you give the seller notice seller to perform, okay, and if still not perform, then if the seller may just cancel the buyer. So say, hey, I you tell me to perform, and then that's why I perform. I cancel the escrow. The buyer wasting time? Yeah. So that's why, when we submit the offer like this situation, you better warn your buyer. You may wasting all your time and money for nothing. Can you ask the seller for damage? No. You agree? That's right. I have to find the relocated house. Otherwise, I cannot move. You do the appraisal, you do the inspection, end up you wasted. Yeah? Seller cancel. That's the situation. Okay? Seller cancel. Or both buyer or seller cancel. So if they do have a mutual agreement, usually if they really have both, then we mark it here per mutual agreement. Okay? Or any other situation maybe. So we'll go through here. Usually what we see, the 80% of a cancellation is, well, probably 90% or even higher. 90 or 95%. Buyer, as permitted, as a good faith of exercise paragraph. You guys should know. Paragraph, which paragraph? The number. All I need is a number. Which paragraph? 14. B. Okay, B. Because the 14B is 17-day contingency. All you need to do is just say 14. B. Simple as that. Do you have to tell seller any reason? No. This is a reason. I am exercise the paragraph 14B of the agreement. That's it. If the seller asks you, what's the true reason? I don't know. My buyer just want to cancel. If you as a buyer's agent, you know the true reason, I probably would not disclose. Or you can get something they cannot you know, overcome. I say my buyer still cannot, you know, like the floor plan or the location. Those you cannot change it. Or if you say like, you know, because the seller didn't do the repair, buyers cancel. Okay, then maybe buyers say, if I do all the repair, would you continue? That may happen. So depend on what the buyer true reason want to cancel. Sometimes the buyer's agent, as a buyer's agent, we better find out. Buyer may not tell you the truth. So if we can solve by using money, that's not the true reason to want to cancel, because anything can be resolved with money. I can start back to negotiate with the seller. Oh, repair, okay. Or anything could be like last time I have negotiating with, because the house insurance has the insurance company didn't want it. Their auto club insurance doesn't want to insure this property. It's because the seller has a claim before. Do you think it's a buyer's fault? No, but that's how the auto club policy. As long as the house has a claim, they don't want to insure. But the buyer want to keep their auto in the auto club. If they change to different other insurance company, they don't get the combination discount. So I go back to the negotiation for, well, how about I try to get you some credit to cover maybe your 5 or 6 years differences, the discount. So I get the buyer $3,000 credit. Even sellers got kinds of pissed, but too bad. That's my job. So I saved the cancellation. Otherwise, the buyer want to cancel because of that. $3,000. When they look back, it's kinds of stupid. Why? They bought the house in south side of Ontario, only $360,000 for 2,600 square footage, and it's over 1990 when they built, and there's no Melrose. How can you find that? South side of a 60. How much is going to be cost right now? Yeah, if they cancel $3,000, hey, who knows? You know. So that's why I may just tell them and say, okay, if I can get you a $3,000, you will thank me for a long, long, long time. Down in the road, I'm the hero. Okay, I save your money, and not only that, I make a lot of money for you. Yeah, but certainly we don't like cancellation because we didn't get paid to cancel. All right, it's not like doctor, attorney. They, you know, your quiz didn't win or you didn't cure your code. They still get paid. So this is, you know, the only part, you know, you put it right here. Just exercise 14B. That's it of the agreement. And if it's a B, that means buyer has failed to remove the applicable contingency after being given a notice by the perform. So if the buyer doesn't remove C.A.R., so actually the seller can cancel the buyer, right? Okay. So at that part, seller, you know, they will cancel the buyer. Another thing is, buyer has failed to take the applicable contractual action after being given notice by the perform. Like what? What's a contractual action? We cover the notice by the perform form. Half of them is contractual action. The other one is contingency. Something like, what's a contractual action? Initial deposit. You don't turn in your initial deposit. That's a contractual action. And seller can give you the notice by the perform and later on serve you the cancellation legally. Hey, doesn't mean you open escrow. You are nothing. You're nobody without turning the money. Or if they give you the contractual action, say you need to turn in the escrow instruction or you need to turn in the disclosure statement, you better follow. Otherwise, they can still cancel you. That's a contractual action because you delayed too long. I give it to you and you never turn in it because because the seller never respond on the request for repair. So I don't want to turn in the disclosure statement. Come on, it's two different things. Okay, you cannot do that. All right. Otherwise, seller say, oh, you don't want to turn it in, and I cancel you. So be it. Okay, you just cannot say delay the cancellation, delay the disclosure, turn in disclosure statement or escrow instruction, and because seller is not responding your request for repair. Remember what I tell you? If seller is not responding your request for repair, what's that telling you? No repair. Ignore it. They just don't want to repair it for you. Okay? They don't have to respond your request for repair. As a courtesy, I will definitely tell my seller, but it's not every seller or every listing agent will do that. They just, ignore it. Then that automatically you should know that's actually is no repair. Either you take it or cancel.
If just doing the offer,
Mhm.
and then the seller sign back, agree, and then all the buyers say doesn't want to buy, we still need to sign this one, send this one, cancel. Still, right?
Anytime you want to cancel, you gotta sign this form. Cancellation. Yes. Otherwise, what's a cancel mean? You cannot verbally tell the seller, or seller cannot verbally tell the buyer. You gotta have what? Black and white. That's evidence. Why? Because your signature. If you really want to buy verbally, that means both parties have to be recorded, right? Too much hassle. D. Seller has failed to take the applicable contractual action after being given a notice of seller to perform. What's a contractual action to the seller? It could be like, seller never gave me the disclosure statement. After 7 days, they still didn't give me anything. Or I see the escrow been delayed for 7 days and they still haven't given out the escrow instruction. That's what a lousy escrow. What can tell? Oh, I'm sick, so I cannot. Come on, you're sick. You have assistant or somebody can issue the escrow instruction. You just cannot delay because it doesn't matter you're sick or not. Yeah. So we gotta have a good health. Otherwise, we will delay lots of things. Okay. It doesn't matter. You're the listing agent or the buyer's agent. When you're sick, boy, it's tough. And same thing, the seller failed to remove the applicable contingency after being given a notice seller to perform. Like if the seller cannot, you give the seller to perform and tell them and say you gotta have to remove your contingency to finding your relocation home, your new home. If you cannot, then buyers still have a right to cancel. This is, you mark an E instead of you mark 14B because I know it's a buyer. Buyer to cancel, they have two different things. This is a buyer voluntary cancel. This is like buyer being forced to cancel. That's different. I love the house, but you cannot move out. You cannot sell it to me. I give you the 17 days. You still cannot find a home. Then either, seller can file an extension to the buyer. Can you wait for me another week or another 2 weeks? See if I can find anything. If I cannot, then we have to cancel. Been there, done that. I know. I'm waiting for another 2 weeks. That's about a month. You still cannot find a home. Well, buyer say, I cannot wait any longer. I have to cancel. Yeah. Clear? On the signature, it can be buyer or seller. So you can go either way. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Her question is either, if the buyer want to buy, seller want to sell, but seller cannot find a replacement property to move out. Then what should we do? Push the buyer to accept it, close it, push the seller to rent back or delay escrow. To me, which way is we get the money faster? That's it. You answer the question. All right. But on the other hand, you have another trouble. You have to, make sure the seller can find a replacement property and move out because we don't know how long. Because, first of all, if your buyer want to finance, what's the maximum? the lender will allow if the seller to rent back maximum, most likely 2 months. Some of our lender only 1 month, but so far I haven't seen any lender exceeding 2 months. So maximum 2 months, you have to move out. But if seller still cannot move out, then what do? You're gonna have to evict it. They have to go on the hard way. So that means yes, we get paid, but we have to resolve we still have to service, if anything happened. So that's mean before we submit this particular offer, first of all, we gotta have to communicate with the listing agent. How's your seller doing? Is it easy to deal with it, or they are really picky to finding a house or something, or where do they plan to move? You gotta have to find a location. Why? If I have deal like that. So the seller want to move to Victorville. Okay, why? Tons of house in Victorville, or Palmdale, or Lancaster, or Apple Valley. Fine. My seller want to move to West LA. Oh, how many houses in West LA? Or Rosemead, or maybe San Gabriel or Alhambra. Oh, wait a minute. That is a whole lot tougher. How many houses available? So that's why we usually get a general supply, or then we can dissect it to the smaller city. See if somebody, you gotta have to know the inventory. So if there's I want to move to Irvine, great, because Irvine got about 800 houses for sale right now. But another thing is how much you sell and what's their budget, what they plan to move, because the Irvines cost more. Even they got tons of houses for sale, but still pretty expensive. So that's why you kind of. And the other thing is that if the seller, if we can close, even I know seller usually want to close concurrently, but you tell the listening, my buyer, I don't think is gonna wait that long. Can before we start open escrow, or just right before the open escrow, just right around open escrow, you communicate with the listing agents. Look, now we gotta open it. We already open escrow. There's any way you can persuade the seller to rent back? Maximum of 2 months. We're given the time. If he doesn't agree, or he cannot move out after close escrow in 2 months, then hopefully we don't wasting our time between each other. So we just cancel. Well, you can give the lease agreement to the seller. You can give the 60-day notice, but so what? What's the California real estate law? Who they protect? Whoever live inside the house, either tenant or seller. Yeah, but how long is it going to take eviction? Oh, I hope so. If the seller has any special reason, you see, yeah. So I don't want to take the chance. I would always tell the buyer, if they're doing the eviction process, if we got lucky, 3 months. Not so lucky, half a year to a year. Because if the seller give the court, say, I have a health issue, I cannot just move out right away, and they have a doctor's order, then we're in trouble. We stop. So that's why we gotta have to communicate with the listing agent. Certainly, when I'm the listing agent, I took this listing, I communicate with the seller to begin with. Okay, how long do you plan to rent back? Then I better disclose on agent remark. If somebody cannot, say for the seller have to rent back for half year, or seller have to rent back for 1 year, why? Okay. Sometime, before I take the listing, I just have to, see if it's easy to sell or not so easy. If somebody, I talked to one of a seller, and the seller want to lease back to lease, they want to move to Vegas. They already have the house in Vegas, but they were thinking about it, maybe lease for at least whole year, probably either latest 2019 or early 2020. They moved to Vegas. so they can still continue to work here and retire over there. They still try to save more money, and plus this house, equity, everything. Well, then I got thought twice. I said, wow, how many investor will invest a house, you know, 650, $700,000 house? It's not the cheap one. So if some agent want to took over, fine. I don't feel regretted because I just try to buy some time. Why? If the first agent didn't deliver, the second agent, and I have more ammunition. See? Because if you tell what the condition on the first agent, and we can only sell it to the investor, and how much you want to sell. Now we got to restructure. Do you plan to maybe? That's why don't we just not just rent it out on this property? If somebody can let you stay inside the house, we pay them a rent. That's fine. If somebody want to move in yourself, are you able to move out to find I'll find you a place to live in for another year, or apartment you live in for whatever the year, and put your stuff in the storage, so you have more ammunition to negotiate with the seller before I put on the listing. So when the buyer's agent engage with me for those questions, and I know how to answer. And you know what? I put it on the listing agreement. So that means I don't want seller to regret. Oh, no, I never tell you this. No, you did. When we negotiated, same thing, right? What's the listing? Later, I'm going to show you the listing agreement. They have other term and condition. That's an issue. Well, I'm going to put it on in writing. Seller, you sign it. Oh, yeah, I did tell you that. Yeah. So that's it. Okay, so that's why whatever the discussion, when you sign in later on, when you sign in the listing, same thing. Put it on the listing agreement so you don't get in trouble later. No, so buyer can get their only money back. That's it. That's it. Yeah, yeah. So that's why if that situation, those type of a listing, then I gotta have to make sure what the sellers they are what they can do, and put it in writing, so I don't get in trouble later. So put on your listing agreement when you are if you are the listing agent, and the seller need to rent back or whatever the issue, and how long do you plan to rent back, or if you can move out in time, after 2 months, if the buyer need to move in, then do you have a place to move? Do you plan to rent? Whatever the statement, I put it in writing. I have seller. I put it on writing and listing on the listing agreement. So the seller signed it, listing agreement. Number 2, when we have the hold on. I authorize him. Okay. Number 2 is if you already have a money in escrow, and that's how you have to get the money back to the buyer. Okay, this part is only a buyer signature and seller on the side, because basically, who has the money in the escrow? Buyer. So buyer want to get initial deposit back. So 1, buyer and seller cancel escrow, whatever the escrow number, and also with who is the escrow company. That's a blank here. So the escrow number and with which escrow company and whatever the issue. But if you didn't have the, if you haven't turned in your initial deposit yet, you only just signing the first part. The second part, you have no money. So what deposit you gonna release? You got no money, okay? So if you just on a few days, you do the inspection, you don't like the property, you want to cancel, you just sign in a first paragraph. You don't have to sign a second part. But the paragraph number 2, that's when you have a money, initial deposit money in the escrow, then you sign in on a paragraph number 2. A, seller authorized release of a buyer's deposit, last buyer's fee and cost to the buyer. Usually that's what we mark right here. When the buyer say have no cancellation charge, no, not really. When you open escrow, turn in initial deposit, sometimes the escrow may charge you $200 to $300 cancellation fee. And that's how the escrow company will issue another amendment to the buyer to agree with the amount I'm going to deduct it to you, and this is the rest of the amount I'm going to return it back to you. Or some of, for example, some of a buyer, they are pretty cheap. They are just putting the physical inspection into the escrow. Well, then escrow need to pay, right? Not only that, they usually have to pay premium. So that means like some of a inspection company, they may adding another $75 if you want to leave it in the escrow. So you got to pay more, not just a regular inspection fee and plus $75. What's that? It's more like a delaying charge or whatever, maybe. And when you cancel, or when you wait until you close of escrow, then escrow pay the inspection company. So you still have a fee to pay to pay. Now, you have to take the chance half. Some of the escrow company, if you just cancel around the first day, second day, they may just refund it to you everything. But if you've been passing a week or two, most likely you'll have some cancellation fee to involve. B, buyer authorized release of buyer's deposit less the seller's fee cost to the seller. Well, okay. Pursuing to the property executed liquidation damage clause and buyers authorized a release of deposit to the seller is limited no more than 3% of a purchase price. Any additional deposit shall be returned to the buyer. What situation would mark B? When? When buyer cannot get funded, when buyer cannot get closed, or when buyer want to cancel after they remove the contingency. So that is going to be seller's fee. Now you're going to have to negotiate with the seller. If you don't want to pay all 3%, sometimes a 3% could be lots of money, you know, and this, it's no way buyer can get all the money back. It just, as a seller, you're only wasting my time for 3 weeks or maybe a month, then you gotta have to pay me some money. If I don't charge you all 3%, then how much? That's a both agent have to negotiate. Okay, that's a nasty part. We don't want to get through that route. Okay, so before you are let the buyer signing the contingency removal, make sure not just tell them once, twice, and usually I tell them 3 times. Are you sure you want to kiss your initial deposit goodbye if you cancel, if you cannot close? Well, I haven't seen a loan doc yet. Well, I know. But when you are financing, you get a final approval. But do you still have a risk? Can I get funded? Yes. It's not going to be 100%. Oh, when we see the loan doc, I all can tell you, you get about 99% you get funded. But how about that 1%? Anything can still happen. But is it seller's fault? No. Whose fault is that? Buyer. Well, the lenders, so they give me the loan doc, that means they already check on everything. Yes. But sometimes if they have a last thing they found out and they don't want to fund it. For example, you spend too much money on a credit card and they figure it out the debt income ratio is just not enough. They won't fund it. Oh yeah, because I thought I buying a new house now. I start spending all the credit card, buying all the appliances and furniture. Don't do that during the escrow. Okay, it will kill yourself. Unless you got tons of money, that's fine. Your debt income ratio is okay. When your debt income ratio is right on the borderline, you as a buyer's agent, you warn them, don't spend any money until close of escrow. Huh? Yeah. Don't spend any money. Not even remodeling or estimating or whatever it may be. Well, usually you cannot do the remodeling after close of escrow anyway. But a lot of people, they probably spending the money buying the furniture, appliances until delay. Tell them, oh, don't deliver until I close the escrow. Don't do that. Oh, but it's on sale. For example, it's Thanksgiving coming right up, and you have an escrow. I want to get a Black Friday discount. Okay, you take your own risk. Don't tell me I didn't warn you. Should we sign an addendum? Yeah. You don't want to, I did give you the warning. I mean, you don't do that. Or make sure you talk to the retail store and say, if I do not close the escrow, can I still cancel? Yeah. Because you just, it may be the issue. Because the lender, before they fund it, they will run the buyer's credit report again. They want to make sure your credit score didn't drop. Okay? Sometimes because your credit score dropped, especially a stated income, if right before you fund it, your credit score dropped to under 700, they stop. They will not fund the loan. That's serious. Okay? How come? Well, that's a rule. That's a guideline. Because when you start spending money and you have a risk, and not only your debt income ratio is higher now, and could be if your credit score just right on the borderline 700 and you get a stated income, and that's what the guideline for stated income loan. They will not fund the loan. Seller has a right to forfeit your deposit because you cannot close it. It's not seller's fault. Whose fault is that? Buyers. So no matter what, I would say during the escrow, don't deposit any money into the account. You're going to using as a down payment, and don't spend any money on the credit card. Doesn't matter what credit card, because the credit report, they will show everything. The worst thing is people buying a car or lease a car during the escrow. And suddenly, lease payment, that become a payment, right? And they will jack up your debt income ratio. Please don't do that. Doesn't matter they have a special discount or not, okay? C, both buyer and seller acknowledge mutual cancellation of the agreement and authorize escrow holder to continue to hold the deposit until receiving subsequent mutual instruction, judicial decision, or arbitration award. This is when we have a dispute. And seller doesn't want to close, seller doesn't want to give away the money to the buyer. The buyer want to cancel. That is something they have a legitimate dispute. So situation could be like, for example, they have the buyer, they only request for the refrigerator, a built-in refrigerator. Well, a built-in you can actually need to stay. A nice refrigerator, not built-in. And the seller said, I already told you, the refrigerator is not included. So, but buyer put on the check mark on the purchase agreement, and listing agent just oversight. They did not see it and didn't counter. But seller already put on the listing agreement, say the refrigerator is not included. If the listing agent doesn't want to pay expensive, and that especially sometimes it's going to be expensive refrigerator, then it's going to have a dispute. That's a situation may happen. But usually listing agent end up pay for it. but seller doesn't. I say, hey, listing agent just tell me sign, sign, sign. I trust her or trust him. Technically, yes. So that's an argument started, right? That's a dispute. If that's why I say why it need a judicial decision and arbitration award. I mean, you go through mediation and arbitration. That's an issue. Holding a deposit, don't touch it until the issue resolved. Okay? It is though. You do have the right argument. Well, yeah, seller, you signed an initial, that means you agree. But how many seller doesn't really read everything, and or how many listing agent doesn't really go through everything in front of a seller? So seller can sue the listing agent too. I know, but buying suing the seller and listing agent and listing broker. Okay, then we stuck. Nobody get paid. Yeah. So that's why I rather, if I'm the buyer's agent for that situation, I rather don't want to throw the listing agent under the bus and say, look, I'm my buyer asking stove, refrigerator, and washer and dryer on the purchase agreement. Make sure you see it. I try to be the nice guy as a buyer's agent. Why? If my buyer got pissed off and listing agent doesn't want to get paid, doesn't want to pay for that, am I going to stock? Buyer's agent didn't get paid on the commission either, right? And I'm going to get in all trouble for nothing. So if I do it something unusual, check little check mark. Usually we check stove. Yeah, people would say, yeah, stove. But if the house doesn't have a stove, then make sure the listing agent, you either install it or you make sure you counter ain't got no stoves. Or whatever what you want to ask for the refrigerator, so the washer and dryer or anything. It could be chandelier or it could be a dining table or sofa, whatever the item may be. Okay, make sure you not only you submit the purchase agreement and put on the email when you submit the offer, and also I will verbally either text them, text the listing agent, or talk to the listing agent, over the phone. Make sure he or she aware of what I'm asking, what I'm requesting for, so we can be on the same page to close of escrow. Believe me, listing agent will appreciate what you do. Okay. So basically, you save a listing agent the money, and so do you save. Bottom line, I want to get paid when I close of escrow. That's it. I want to close of escrow. Bottom line. I hate this form, but I have to deal with it. Yeah. Well, anything. Yeah. If for example, the buyer want to buy something, including the deal, which is kind of a stupid move. Usually, we rather put the furniture outside of escrow so they can pay it on site. So we issued a different addendum. So not put in the price into the escrow. But some of the people come from Asia. They prefer put everything in the package. I want all their furniture. What do you mean all? All. What do you mean all? Oh, everything. I say, well, you gotta tell me what do you want, okay? Their bedding set, their refrigerator, their sofa set, dining set, everything. Because sometimes they have a personal property. Do you want their kitchenware too? No way. Because it's a furniture, right? So you gotta have. If that's an issue, I have to list everything. If you really want to put into the purchase agreement, and I better list everything what your master bedroom set, a set, your whatever the bedroom set, okay, including nightstand and the lamps, or they want everything. I have to be so detailed, and that means I gotta attach addendum for that. Yeah, clear? Okay. Yes. Yeah. C 两个人一起 cancel，B 的话是 buyer still want to cancel， 还不是 seller cancel。B 的话是 buyer cancel, but after contingency removal, they won't get some money back. For example, if the buyer cannot get funded, all their deposit in the escrow already, right? All their down payment, okay? All their down payment. And I won't get my rest of down payment. Okay, fine, I'll pay you 3%, but I want to get my rest of money back. That's you mark B. Okay? So A is before contingency. B is after contingency. C, they want to have a fight. Seller cancel 的话，当然了，那你可以填 if the seller want to cancel, okay, if the seller want to cancel, then you have to release all deposit anyway. You're gonna have to release all their deposit. Yeah. 还是 yeah B 啊，对 buyers authorized release if it's not funding the loan. Seller, for example, if the seller cannot basically if the seller want to do the cancellation, okay, you'll see because this B is for buyer, okay, and the buyer release a buyer deposit and last the seller's fee cost basically is to the seller. B, but usually still buyer cancel because buyer need to get their money back. It's not exactly seller issue the cancellation, it's buyer. Because who want the money back? Buyer. So listing agent gonna tell the buyer, you better issue. No, 它只是里面3%. Okay, basically, if at the last minute, especially they already have a down payment into it, okay, because that's more than 3% in the escrow already. Yeah, so that's the issue. It's a buyer issue, the cancellation, not exactly seller. Who want the money back? Buyer. Usually they already wire the money and the funding. You wait until the bank have to see the buyer. They put the initial their down payment before they fund the loan. That's right. So that's an issue. Okay. 这个 sequence 你要知道，就是 we don't want, okay? Not gonna work. We don't want those happen. All we want is A. Okay, I can live with that. B or C, I don't want to see it. Not gonna work. Never try it. Never get it. Okay, you don't want that. So that's how you prevent it. If buyer have any issue, we better cancel before contingency removal. So at least we can still keep the good relationship with the buyer, even you don't get paid. So maybe you can still help the buyer to get the next property, get their money back. Okay? Because when you go through B and C, basically you get fired too. Most likely. They only cost, they only have to pay the damage. They will consider all your fault, all buyer's agent fault. Even it's their fault, but believe me, buyer would not never admit it. It's all buyer's agent fault. Because you did not tell me, you did not protect me, so I'm losing money, so it cost me a damage. Pretty vulnerable. So be careful. That's why when we practice, okay? I try not to scare you, but that's the truth. That's it. So buyer and seller mutually release each other from all obligation to the buyer. Seller exchange in the property under the agreement and unless otherwise specified from all claims, action, and demand that each may have against the other by reason of the agreement. 2. Intend that all rights and obligations arise out of the agreement are null and void. Okay. So buyer and seller side. Any question? No? Okay. Then I'll go ahead, starting with the print you guys on the listing package print. Listing agreement, key safe, seller instruction, exclude the listing from form, And what else? Yes. 10 10 business day if the seller doesn't have the legitimate reason to dispute the sale. So technically, escrow need to release the fund to the buyer. But half of the escrow, they are so scared. Without the seller or listing seller signature, they will not release the fund. So that means buyer may have to get attorney writing a letter to escrow, tell them to release the fund. Because on the purchase agreement, remember we have that within 10 days. But escrow, they just don't want the troubles like a seller. They sue them later on. So that's why. Okay. Let me just, get this 3 form first. 哦，好久不见，哇，今天穿这么漂亮。哎，不会不会，这个位置是特别为你留的，你不来没人敢坐。So, anybody still need my copy of listing agreement, sample of listing agreement? 1, 2. I know you never have it. You have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'll print the 10 copy. Ben, you still want another copy? Okay. Wait a little bit. We're gonna starting on the listing agreement. This part, I don't really have to repeat it again, is because the agency disclosure, same thing. Before you signing anything, just like when you're signing purchase, which form you need to let the buyer sign it first? It's a agency disclosure. Otherwise, you are not their agent. Same thing as a seller, you gotta let them sign the agency disclosure. You are representing them. So after that, you can sign the listing agreement. So that's why they always put the agency disclosure at the first one to sign. Okay. The only thing different is since this is for seller signing over there, so you don't have this box. See here, because seller or the landlord do not sign here because they are the seller. The form you look at differently. The purchase, the seller sign in the box, and the buyer sign on the top. So this is what we call the AD1, agency disclosure number 1. So that's between the listing, brokerage firm, and seller. The AD2 is buyers, so the selling agents firm with buyer. Now we do have an AD3. Those are the depend on the situation. What we need to sign is buyer's agent, okay, selling brokerage with seller. That's the relationship. More like a buyer's agent with seller. That's a little bit different. Some of a situation, you want to make sure you get paid on the commission. You got to have a relationship with the seller. Yeah. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm not sure you got all the copy. You did? One set? I know, still printing. Still printing. The rest. One set. I know. One more set. Oh, I only got 4 sets here. Seller advisory, agency disclosure. There we go. All right. I'm getting waiting for others. Same thing. Possible presentation more than one buyer and seller, disclosure and consent. This part is the same thing when we cover, when we go over what the purchase agreement, because this is a generic form, between a seller, buyer. Same thing. They're all the same. Okay. It just, they're including the package. So basically, you let the seller signing once, but if you are the dual agent, you can actually grab the same form, let the buyer sign. Or you want to sign a separate form, but actually you just have to let the seller sign the other form. So at least you gotta have a one form to turn in. But when you took the listing, you don't have a buyer's name, so usually this is blank. That's why. Okay, when you sign a listing, you don't have a buyer's yet. So the buyer's name, this is a blank, and so do the top one. This for the a buyer's agent, it will be this one is listing firm. So on the bottom, this is a selling firm. Selling firm also blank. This one is, that's why a little bit different is because I'm the dual agent. I already closed this deal. So that's why you see the buyer's and seller's name on the top. But usually when you took the listing, those are blank. Okay. Wiring floor electronic fund transfer advisory. This one, we also have it in the purchase agreement. Okay. When we sign in the purchase, same thing, we have this. And why they also, advise the seller, because the sometimes seller, do you think seller ever need to wire the fund to the escrow? Very rarely. When seller doesn't have enough equity. Why seller have to wire the fund to close the escrow? Because when they have enough, when they don't have enough equity and they have money, either close the deal or pay my commission. They just short on my commission part. They just only have enough to cover their debt, but they cannot cover my commission, so they have to pay my commission. So they still need to wire the money to pay me. Okay. Hey, I have that situation. They are glad I saved them. They say no problem. I wire the fund so to pay you. So those are for the wiring. Okay, this for the listing agreement. Let's see the finished printing.用了哈 OK, thank you. Here we go, Brian. Okay, set. OK， 你有需要吗？要。哦，对对，他也需要，对。 Okay, for residential listing agreement, date, certainly that's what you put the preparation date. And I only issue the exclusive authorized right to sell. I do not do like exclusive agency or open listing. I will not never sign the other two. If somebody want me to sign open listing, no, I rather don't want to get involved. You don't have a loyalty, seller doesn't have a loyalty to me. Why should I have the loyalty to you? That's an open listing. So that means the seller can sign as many as a listing with different agent. That's a typical situation in Asia, but we don't, personally, I don't practice that. I cannot say it's not legal, but I don't want it, okay? All of our time is valuable. I don't want to sign those open listing. And so what's the difference between the exclusive authorization and exclusive agency? What's the difference? Do you guys know what's the difference? Yeah, exclusive agency and exclusive right authorization. This is exclusive right to sell. This one, it doesn't matter the seller, friend, family, whoever, I can pay. Exclusive agency, that means if somebody walk in to knock on the door to seller, they want to buy it from seller directly, you don't get paid. So that means you gotta have, the buyer's gotta have an agent, you get paid. That's an exclusive agency. You representing seller as an agency. But if somebody, they buying the property directly through seller and they just went to open escrow, I'm so sorry, you don't get paid. 啊，没听过啊？啊，是吗？啊，你知道有那个 form 吗？Do you know that form? Oh, if you do you think the form is the same? They will.
但是一直都是用这个。
对。
但是我以为那个就是口头上叫那个 agent，
Now you know why.
现在明白。
Okay, now you know why. Yeah, terrible. It is terrible. So that means if somebody walk to the seller and buy it directly from them without an agent, then you don't get paid. That's an exclusive agency. So I only sign this form to the seller. Otherwise, no. Okay, it's your money. Got it? Huh? So that's why, you know, we all have a 3 different listing agreement. And this is the only form I practice, and this is the only form I, share with you. The other two, no. Here's, seller. You make sure the seller, it's a seller. If you can verify with them, that's fine. Okay, there's a 2 seller. Remember, I just, when I talk to you, I just cancel the listing. It's because I cannot. Okay, the issue is signing a listing agreement is not that hard if you cannot really prove the seller, especially if it's your somebody you know or someone you know, and say, I'm taking care of their property. Okay, but do you get their authorization? Yes, I do. Okay, fine. First of all, usually I will say, okay, fine, I'll sign in a listing agreement. But when can you provide me the power of attorney? I want to make sure. Oh yeah, I'll get it from the seller soon. Oh, soon. Okay. After a month later, how soon? Can you show me the power of attorney? You know what? And the good thing is, when they give you the DocuSign, DocuSign, they will show the IP address when they sign the listing agreement. And when they say, oh yeah, the seller is in Asia, so he will sign. And this is her email, for example. Okay. Then I say, well, later on I say, you know what? I found out the listing agreement when you sign is in Southern California. Huh? And at your location, your city. Well, so what can I say? Then certainly, yeah, the middleman doesn't. She is afraid to responding. I didn't say, we found out. We just say our office IT found out your signature. So that's why my office needs an explanation. Is this listing agreement is legitimate? And so do when you sign a cancellation. It's not signing in Asia. You are signing in Southern California again. Who signed it? I didn't mention you, right? I'm the middleman. But I cancel myself. Why? It's because if I enter into the escrow, open the transaction, I'm in big trouble. Why I share this with you is because the first time I got this situation. Usually we trust the seller, but sometimes I just have to verify. Okay? Yeah.
How to verify?
因为我的 IP address I can track. Now you know. Okay? 因为这个如果 if we get an issue, okay, then we're in trouble. So that's why you don't get fooled. Digital signature is very convenient, but also they can be tracked where you sign. If you really track the IP address, it's foreign country or whatever in Asia, fine, it's legitimate. You better let them sign it on the spot. You don't want to help as an agent. You never want to help, even it's their email address. They give you the password, anything like that. You don't want to help. And so do the middlemen. Don't do anything like that unless you have power of attorney, POA. Otherwise, when I cancel the listing, I sleep better. Why? Because when I enter in escrow, who's going to be after me? Buyer and buyer's agent. Who is lying? Whose job didn't verify? Right? Even as I co-op with the other our co-worker, but even I'm the mentor. I tell them, say, I found out. I think we better cancel. It's not my friend or not my client, but you put my name on it on the listing agreement. And I'm also responsible when I get lawsuit. Then when I ask for cancel, you listen. Yeah. So I cancel myself after a month. I sleep better.
How we find out more seller? How we find out 2 or 3 more seller? If you told me, hey, I only one.
Because when you guys are tested. For example, at that situation, if the seller, I want to meet the seller, I say, okay, seller in Taiwan. Okay, then how? On the other hand, it's mainly because the seller doesn't want to reduce the price or adjust the price because we think it's overpriced. We took it and see if any bite. And when they're doing the open house, nobody really show up, or just one group of people showing up. Then not only that, I say, can we sit down and talk? Okay, even the middleman, can we sit down and talk? And the middleman refused to meet with us. Then I start feeling funny. You are start rejecting me everything what we suggest. Then why should I have to work with you? Why should I have to work for you? You don't listen. You don't respect our profession. Then why should I?
No, I said like the seller, you have 2 or 3 people.
Oh, 2 or 3 people?
Yeah, how we find out if he said that's only me? I don't know.
First of all, you check on the title.
So we still need to check the title.
Before we put on a listing agreement, we check on the real list. Okay. Sometimes the real list maximum real list only show 2. Sometimes more than 3 or 4. Right. So then seller said, wait a minute, we got 3 or 4. Oh, I'm so sorry. Then can you show me? Or if you don't mind, let me call the escrow and pull out the preliminary title report. Give me about a day or 2. Then I'll adding. Why? You know what I did? Why don't you, the first 2 seller, you sign a listing agreement first, and I will issue the additional signature for 3rd or 4th seller. Because you cannot squeeze in for all of them. Well, technically you could, but I don't want it. I want them to commit it first. Even I know kind of incomplete. But you know what? We have a tendency. when somebody will write it or initial, unintentionally, you are committed. That's what I want. Okay, I wanted to commit it first. Then I'll deal with your signature later. Yeah, just like I may commit it on that listing first, but before I really get into the offer, getting the signature, I gotta have to clarify. That is when I take some time to verify. If not, I'll cancel myself. Yeah, and they're happy. Hey, you guys just cannot deliver. What we ask. I say, hey, how do I know? Did the seller ever authorize you to sell the house? And she shut up. And not only that, we found out she did not just finding on this house. The middleman also helping the same seller for other property. So I'm not so sure is it legal or is something wrong with it. Yeah, because he can show me the power of attorney, then author even some people is like their friends as a management company or manage the property for their friend. Did they ever get the power of attorney? They should. Verbally telling your friend to manage, that shouldn't be right. Because that's how the middleman is. They say, oh yeah, I manage their property. I said, well, do you have something to prove you are managing their property? Oh, I just collect the rent for them and say, I need a power of attorney. You are authorized person. Okay, if you have power of attorney, yes, I trust your signature because we explained to them that if we enter into the escrow, are you authorized to sign it for seller? Yes, no, you are not. I don't see the power of attorney, and I will not let you sign anything on the purchase agreement if they really do have an offer coming in. Without the power of attorney, original, not copy. You can send me the copy now, but escrow will ask the original. Otherwise, how can we open escrow? Right? So that's why be careful if that's a scam, and that's a new one. It's just like could be the tenant. They could bring the fake ID and sell the property for the landlord. You went into the escrow signing you get notarized, signing the grantee. Escrow officer cannot tell the difference when you got a fake ID. And you just open another fake account with the bank with your ID and the seller's name. After you receive the money and then you wire the money to your own account, you vanish. The seller never know his or her property got sold. Right? So that's why wiring fraud may happen. So as a listing agent, if that's the case, listing agent in big trouble. Because when the seller comes back and says, what happened to my property? Who sold it? We all have a track. Who sold the property? Listing agent, right? You get lawsuit. Because you did not verify who is the true seller. Oh. Okay. All right. And here is certainly fill out all the stuff. And if this is a mobile home, we don't have a mobile home listing agreement anymore. So if it's a mobile home, if you guys want to sell a mobile home, which is more trouble. Personally, I don't deal with a mobile home anymore. Okay, unless I help the seller buying the property and selling their mobile home. Yeah, okay, I guess as the client, I didn't make the big money and I have to make the small money too. More trouble. Because a mobile home, you have to deal with a mobile park manager as well. So you make sure you get enough commission for the mobile home. Otherwise, I don't want to deal with it. Not 6%. Okay, 6% just not enough for mobile home. Mobile home usually under probably $100,000, most likely. Okay, certainly some of them it could be $1 million. Yeah, yeah, Newport Beach mobile home. Yeah, I see that. Oh, it's a mobile home in Newport Beach. Yeah, close to the ocean. You got ocean view. How much? Oh yeah, $1 million mobile home. Yeah, but I never sell those $1 million mobile home. So far, I only deal with about $100,000 mobile home. Okay, that's different. Okay, so the commission is going to be cost more, or whatever, even the flat fee. I deal with the senior community mobile home. That's even harder to sell. Only senior can live in that community, and it's a mobile park. Then I gotta have to charge a flat fee. So the flat fee, if you really calculate it, really on the value of a mobile home, could be as high as like 25% commission. And sellers say, thank you to get rid of the mobile home for me. Yeah, I gotta have the flat fee at least $10,000. Or some people, it was $8,000, $4,000, $4,000 each. Or whatever you figured it out, or 10%, or whatever the percentage may be. Okay. So if you think it's enough, okay, 10%, or sometimes it could be 15, 12, whatever. But usually it's 10%, 5% to the buyer's agent, 5% to the listing agent. So do just like a business opportunity. When I listing, same thing, 10% commission. Total. The property is being sold as part of a probate, conservational, or guardianship. See addendum for additional terms. So if you mark that, you gotta have, if it's a probate, so you gotta have a issue. So you gotta have a probate for those addendum, probate advisory, anything like that, you need to attach to it. 2, listing price and term. That's you put it whatever the listing price and listing terms. That is the term is the sometimes like when I'm saying. Remember, if you need the rent back, or they need to find a relocated home, you put it right here, listing term. But if this 2 row is the no, this 2 line is not enough, you can put it right here, additional term. If you want to put any, here's a space, here's additional term. So those are, if like if the seller willing to rent back up to 2 months, that's where you put it. Or listing is not excluded, included item, we will cover that, on the back. So you don't have to put it right here. But those are the terms is, can they move out on time, or how many days, or they need to rent back, or whatever the term may be. You put it right here. Compensation of broker. The amount of real estate commission is not fixed by law. They are set by each broker individual, and that may be negotiated between seller and broker. Real estate commission, including all compensation and fee to broker. Seller agree to pay the broker as compensation for service in respective of the agency relationship, either whatever the percentage you are okay with. To me, I will start with 6%. And I'm proud to be a 6% agent. Yeah. I know people laugh at me. Yeah. In the Chinese community, yeah. How can you get 6%? I got it. They're Chinese. Buyers and enemies. Both parties need to pay. Yeah. Not only that, seller buy another property. And so actually, I make good money. That's how I do enjoy my career. Okay. But I mean, if you want to, depends on the seller. I didn't say I will turn away a 4% commission. Yeah, once in a while, I do have 4%. I gotta admit it. And average, 5% or 6%, most of them. But I know it's the Chinese market a little bit tough. If you do have to using 4% to get the deal, then get it. What can I say? Because our community, Chinese community, got so screwed up is because a lot of agents they don't speak English, they can only deal with Chinese, then they can only cut the commission to get the listing, unfortunately. Yeah. Especially when you see those 2% 2% agent or 3% agent, that's really pathetic. Okay. Well, unless it's like if you tell me say $5 million property, maybe I'll take a little bit less if like they sell it so cheap. Yeah. But if you talk about $500,000, you want me to pay what, 2%, 3%? Yeah. I'd rather do the rental and double end it and make a quick money.
丢 agent 的时候，他会说哦，那你可不可以设因为都是以一个人来做。
Yeah, I was.
写到哪里？写到后面那个 special 的。
Yeah, yeah, you can write down a special 那个地方，或是 on the top of listing term. Okay, on a listing, that's part of a listing term too. If you're the dual agent, okay, then I will give. Yeah, I had that before, but usually I give 1% discount the most. I starting 0.5%. Well, not 0.5%, 1%. Okay, so 5%, total 5%. Yeah, acceptable, right? Okay, but if you say you're starting 5%, oh, 1%, oh, okay, then the total 4%. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll take it. I would not turn away the money, but unless it's dirt cheap, on that. Just like if you're signing 3%, do you think the buyer's agent will show your property at 1.5%? No. Then how many percent they will start maybe consider showing 2%? How much you got left? 1%. How much do I sell to this property? If I only collect 1% after all the fee for Remax, what do I got left? That's why I say I'd rather do rental and double end it. And faster. Certainly, if the seller doesn't want to pay you the percentage, they can also the listing price of if purchase agreement is entered into and the purchase price or whatever the flat fee may be. If the seller says, I want to pay you $10,000. Oh, great. Well, that's about like what? Oh, no, not, oh, no. $10,000 total? No, that's not good. Okay. If you $20,000 total, that's great. Yeah. That's about like 5.5%. Okay, 5.5% total. Not quite 6% yet. Okay. But if like total $10,000, oh, where's the door? Have a nice day. So when you're at a listing, those are when you're looking at, and I just want to share with you, when we learn from the Mike Ferry, those are 3 questions. Hopefully you guys can. Don't be shy to ask a seller. What's the first question? If whoever attending on the Mike Ferry seminar, during the summertime, first question is, do you have to sell your home? You ask the seller, do you have to sell your home? Oh, not really. Oh, not really. So that means you can sell that. Okay. Then should we continue? Second question. Well, you don't need to sell your home. That means can you rent it? Kind of. Okay. Then why don't we rent it? Because renting is a whole lot faster than selling. So make up your mind. Do you have to sell your home? I want one answer. Yes. Okay. Then second question. Then I can continue. Right? Should we market at the right price or just sitting on the market? Well, how much so who set the price? Listing agent, not you. Okay, technically. Unless I say, how much do you want? Actually, we are very polite. Ask, how much do you plan to sell? How much do you have in mind? Oh, that's how much you want? I see. So that means that's a sitting on the market price, not the right market price. So should we market at right price or sitting on the market? Let your house sitting on the market. How many houses we sit on the market right now? Lots of them. Lots of them. So that's how you show the seller how many houses in your community and how many they are sitting in the market and how many did they really get sold the past half year? None. Well, what's that telling you? Everybody's over asking price, overpriced. Sometimes the whole neighborhood is overpriced. It could happen. Number 3 question. Well, certainly they gotta have to follow, so okay, then we're gonna set the right price. 3rd question. Am I the agent to service you, to serve you? You point at yourself. Do you want the answer? Yes. Okay, then we can talk about the rest. I know those are pretty straightforward questions from Mike Ferry. And I know most of Asian, we are afraid to ask those 3 questions. And I found out I should starting doing that. If you are not, do you need to sell your home? No, not really. Oh, okay. And I guess, we'll just, chit chat today. What do you mean chit chat? Well, you're not ready. Yeah. And my job is, doing the listing person as a showtime. I show, but unless you want to waste your own time, that's fine. But if, if the Caucasian, they tell them and say, well, then I guess, you're not ready. I flat out tell them, because you don't need to sell your home at this moment. So you want to take the chance. Why? It's because every time when we put on the listing, the day is accumulating. When we put on the price over asking, your day is accumulating. And you know that record, I keep it for 18 years. I think it's almost 20 years. Yeah, 20 years now. And people will start questioning, the buyer will question, what's wrong with this house? Or I can tell them it's overpriced. One of my buyers asked me a house in Diamond Bar. Why this house it's been sitting on the market? It still is the same listing agent. Put it back on the market again. Since July, it expired November, and I put it back on the market again. Well, you got to find a reason. Buyer, why this house sit on it? Looks good. Location's great. Price, I think, well, kind of reasonable. Why is still sitting on the market? Then you gotta have to, and I have to find. Oh, you know what? I found out it's because this house is kind of small for this price, but the lot is so big, 10,000 square feet. Some people doesn't want a big lot. Huh? Hey, sometimes a big lot, it could be a killer. If smaller house, like 1,500 square footage house, you got 10,000 square footage lot size. If you want to use a rental as an investment property, too expensive. You need a water. Somebody want to, build something on the ADU in Diamond Bar, tough luck. No. Even you got a big lot. So it could be a trouble. Seller want to get what they want. They think the huge lot, it's a plus, but sometimes it's a disadvantage. Just like pool house, the house with the pool. Personally, I like it. But how many Asians, they don't like it? Oh yeah, most of them. They say, well, extra expense, and I don't use it. And even, the house with the pool, they can increase the value, but also a disadvantage for showing. Some people just don't want it. Same thing. Big lot, you sell, yeah, it's a value. The lot size, bigger lot is got a lot size. Unless you want to plant a lot of stuff, or you want to get, a huge, farming area on the back. Okay, fine. Typical Asian, they like to have a big lot, but they just don't know what they want to do. They just want to buy the big lot. Yeah. Privacy. Okay. Okay, if that's the case, it's worth it. Okay. But I mean, if the whole neighborhood with a bigger lot, it's okay. If it's only a couple of them in the neighborhood, it's a bigger lot. That's tough. Because another issue, appraisal value. Okay. All right. Let's come back with this. 3A1. If during the listing period, any extension, the broker, cooperating broker, seller, and any other persons produce a ready, willing, and able buyers who's offering the purchase the price of any price and term and acceptable by seller, provided buyers complete this transaction or is prevented from doing so by seller, broker is entitled to compensation whether any escrow resulting from such offer closed during or after the expiration of the listing period and any extension. What's that telling you? Listing agent will get paid during the listing period, even what do you mean even after expire? Or sometimes you just open escrow on the last day of your listing. Well, technically your listing expired, but you will still get paid. Why? Because you already opened escrow. Unless you did not close it, you don't get paid and your listing expired. Adios. It could be. Seller doesn't want you anymore. Okay, then you lose. All right, that's the only thing. Other than that, yeah, you'll get paid. That's how they protect us as agent. And 3.2, if, because I listing, usually what I put it, on the date, what I get here, say if I listing for 120 days, then I put 120 days right here. That's, if we within 120 calendar day after the end of listing period or any extension, or B, after any cancellation of this agreement, unless otherwise agreed, seller enter into the contract to sell, convey, lease, or otherwise transfer to the property to anyone, prospect buyer, or that person's related entity. One, who physically enter and will show the property during the listing period and any extension by the broker or any cooperating broker. So that's what we get paid. I know last time I purchased, I guess I jump in on this. This is your money, okay? Whoever enter, not just submit offer, enter the house. Well, okay. So whoever entering the house, sometimes I can even turn in the list with just the agent's name. Why? If we have a super lockbox, do we have the lock, right? And we have the agent, whoever coming in. How do I know that agent to bring the same buyer? I come back the second time, but I'm not the listing agent anymore. We don't know, but I mean, sometimes. Oh, yeah, well, I tell the buyer's agent, they say, well, I'm no longer as a buyer's, sometimes I would just, ask the buyer's agent. I say, yeah. And I do respect the previous, when I did that before, I did the same situation. I show the property. I'm the buyer's agent. I show the property second time, but the original listing agent is no longer a listing agent. It's a new listing agent. So actually, I talked to the previous listing agent first. I did show your listing when you are the listing agent, okay? And now I know the seller didn't list it with you, but it's the second buyer. So do you want me to, if my buyer likes it and want to submit the offer, should I, mention that to the seller? Hey, you know what? Comes around, goes around. We're in a small community, especially. Okay, that's how you keep your reputation. You do respect the first listing agent, and the listing agent, I do appreciate that. I mean, but unfortunately, I didn't really turn in the list. So you gotta have to submit the offer to the second listing agent, because how many they didn't turn in the list? Yeah. Yeah. So I know, but sometimes the who cares? I submitted whatever I got to the seller. You don't choose me, you lose. Those people coming back or same agent coming back, I should get paid. Because when we sign a listing agreement, whoever enter the property, whoever entering the property, okay? I know. That's why it's the take the chance. That's it. Even only on a 0.1% chance, I'll do it. Why not? Yeah. Number 2, for whom broker and any cooperating broker submitted to the seller sign and writing an offer to acquire, lease, exchange, or obtain an option on the property. Definitely, you have evidence if they submit the offer. On the second, you definitely have a buyer's name, or the agent's name. First one I know is hard to prove, but the second, since they submit the offer, yeah, you list the name. But not just buy, purchase. Look at it, lease, or exchange, or obtain any option on the property. If they end up rented out, hardly you see that the original buyer become a tenant. Okay, or I never do it on an exchange of property before, but I mean, there's technically, yes, you could do that, exchange. Okay, like you pay the differences, whoever, could be the seller pay the buyer, buyer pay the seller. The exchange house to house. Okay, that's no. Not 1031 exchange is different. When I'm saying exchange, that means junior escrow, they exchange 2 different property. Okay, seller buying the buyer's property, buyers buying the seller's property. Well, not exactly, because both seller become a buyer, buyer become a buyer can also the seller. So they play on both roles on each party. Okay, put it this way. That's called exchange. Okay, and any option on the property, for example, option to purchase. I never practiced that, but even our brokerage, we don't recommend that either. Option to purchase. So the tenant said, I want to lease for 2 years, then later on, after 2 years, I want to purchase this property. Yeah, that's an option to purchase. Option to buy. Option to buy will create a lot of dispute and aggravation. So that's why our broker, Quan, is not suggest us to do anything, the transaction. You rather wait until 2 years later, doing a brand new purchase. Well, because when we're signing the lease listing agreement, if the tenant buying the property through the buying the property with the listing agent, both agents get paid. We already got that. Okay. So after I finish all the listing disclosure, and I will cover the lease. Okay. Lease listing and lease, agreement, everything. So you see that the lease listing agreement, they have that clause. Okay. It's all about our money. And the seller, however, shall have no obligation to the broker under the paragraph 3A2 unless not later than end of the listing period or any extension of a cancellation. Broker has given the seller a written notice of a name of such prospective buyers. So that means before the listing expires, you need to turn in the list. Okay, the last date. 3, if without broker prior written consent, the property is withdrawn from sale, conveyed, leased, rented, otherwise transferred, or made unmarketable by a voluntary act and seller during the listing period and any extension. Okay. So this, it's pretty much, for the for our commission part, listed right in the first paragraph. If the completion of a sale is conveyed by the party of a transaction other than the seller, then compensation, which otherwise would be earned under paragraph 3A, shall be payable only if and when seller collect a damage by suit, arbitration, settlement, or otherwise, and then in amount of equal to the lesser or 1/2 of a damage recovering, or the above compensation after first deduction title, escrow expense, and the expense of the collection, if any. So this part, as I mentioned that before, you do have a right to collect any compensation or damage when seller receive and the listing agent have entitled one and up to 1/2, 50%. Okay, it's your money, so you better mention to the listing agent to the seller when you sign a listing. So I fight hard for your money. I get the money from the buyer. Then what do I should I get paid? Yes. C, in addition, if seller agreed to pay broker, if you got any bonus, So that's the case. You know, if you're willing to pay the bonus to the broker, some other or buyer's co-op agent, any bonus, something like that, you put it right here. So they didn't really say seller agree to pay broker. Which broker? Usually it's a listing broker, but I mean if it's a buyer's or co-op broker, you mention that, okay? Or you can mention that on the other listing term as well. Okay. Okay, I'll keep it on the 3D on Thursday. We're starting on that. That's, you know, for the co-op. I know a lot of listing agent, they are pretty, you know, skinny. You know, they skip that. Oh, sometimes the seller thought they are split half, 3% paying to the buyer's agent. But what happened? They only pay 2.5%. Then end up the listing agent pay 3.5%. I know, but that's how, you know, when I buyer's agent, I say, well, seller, sometimes, you know, when the seller's home and you're communicating, I said, well, I appreciate that. You pay me a 2.5%. What do you mean 2.5%? I thought I pay you 3%. This is MLS. Boy, that's how I get the listing agent. I'm sneaky, huh? Well, because seller would know how much percent would pay us anyway. So if I meet the seller and if I'm about to submit offer, then I would just kind of test it. Okay. Oh, I thought should be pay you split half. The listing we signed 6%. Hey, believe me, seller will spit everything out. The worst thing I see is like 2%. I give it as 6%. What do you mean? The seller get what? How many percent? Or 5%? They pay buyer's agent 2%, and the listing agent keep 3%. You know what? It's because, you know, sometimes when I took the listing as a second listing agent, and the seller show me the previous listing agreement to me because they meant to see it. I said, sure, I'll show you. Look, you know, actually you got fooled. They skipped this. And look at the MLS, previous MLS. They only pay 2% to the buyer's agent. And the listing agent keep 3%. That's probably why you don't have enough showing. So when look at my listing agreement, I charge 6%, and I split 3% to the buyer's agent. Okay, so I will guarantee you got more showing than the previous one. So, sign. Yeah, I hammered that. Yeah, 6%, 5%. Yeah, who got cheat? Seller. Seller pay 1 more percent than to me instead of the previous listing agent. I got sold. Everybody happy? Yeah. Okay, then I'll see you guys on Thursday. Thank you for coming. Yeah.